Finally, some non-coronavirus news to talk about. Bernie Sanders got tired of pretending that he could be the next president of the United States and decided to drop out of the race. And the Bernie bros are not very happy about it.
And we got to keep going, and I'm going to tell you our battle plan in a second. tyt.com/go to make sure Young Turks is that progressive voice, and now the light in what will be probably at least 4 years of darkness.
It's gonna be 4 years of darkness, he says. Well, I can't wait. And by the way, has Trump been pounding his head against the wall in frustration? His forehead just doesn't look right. I think the Babylon Bee has the best take on the situation, noting that Bernie Sanders dropped out of the race as his campaign goals of locking everyone up and destroying the economy have already been achieved. But Crazy Bernie is hedging his bets, because while he said he's dropping out of the race, he's not really dropping out of the race.
On a practical note, let me also say this. I will stay on the ballot in all remaining states and continue to gather delegates. While Vice President Biden will be the nominee, we must continue working to assemble as many delegates as possible at the Democratic Convention, where we will be able to exert significant influence over the party platform and other functions.
Oh, so he's going to continue gathering delegates and then use them as leverage to push Joe Biden, or whoever the nominee will be, farther to the left. Now, if he's going to do that, I wonder if it's going to cause a contested convention, resulting in the superdelegates giving the nomination to somebody other than Biden, like maybe Fredo's brother, or even Michael Bloomberg. So far, at the time I'm recording this at least, Obama hasn't endorsed old Joe or even congratulated him on being the supposed presumptive nominee. I really think the DNC party elite are holding out hope that Joe Biden comes down with the coronavirus and has to be replaced by another candidate. But old Joe is doing his best to try to attract the kids to his campaign by praising Bernie Sanders' movement and promising to forgive their student loans too.
Earlier today, my good friend, and he is a friend, Bernie Sanders, announced he was suspending his campaign. And he didn't just run a political campaign, he created a movement. And that's a good thing for the nation and for our future. And the next package that is already being discussed should include student debt relief for at least $10,000 per person to help ease the burden on young people who are already struggling to get by before the coronavirus.
Meanwhile, Bernie Sanders, former campaign press secretary, has decided to drop the charade, tweeting out, quote, "On the plus side, I can drop the Democratic from my tweets about why socialism is good." Of course, we all knew that the term Democratic Socialist was just a smokescreen, and Bernie Sanders is, at his core, a Marxist. Oh, by the way, after Bernie Sanders announced that he was dropping out, the stock market had a pretty good day. The S&P went up almost 100 points, and the Dow went up almost 800. Investors were obviously relieved that a Marxist no longer had the opportunity to get his grubby hands on their money. Here's the headline from USA Today. Stocks rise as Bernie Sanders drops out of the presidential race. You know, sometimes there are coincidences in life, but this is more of a cause and effect. In other news, the World Health Organization has warned of an infodemic. Conspiracy theories, disinformation, and propaganda, they say, are eroding public trust and undermining health officials in ways that could outlast the coronavirus pandemic. Who would be spreading disinformation in such an important time? No pun intended. It's who? The World Health Organization themselves. The tweet that lives in infamy when they parroted Chinese propaganda, claiming that there was no clear evidence of human-to-human transmission of the coronavirus. Speaking of Chinese propaganda, Vice News is spreading it. They happen to speak to one Chinese person who thinks that Wuhan is the safest place on Earth now that the lockdown has been lifted. Of course, I'm sure he's not afraid to get disappeared by the communist government for speaking about what's really going on in Wuhan, like so many others. I'm sure he's just telling the truth. Don't you worry about a thing. I'll wet market's safest place on planet. But with everything going on in the world, this moron, who's in the White House press corps and was probably mentored by Jim Acosta, decided to ask President Trump about that freak Joe Exotic, the the star of the Netflix sensation Tiger King.
One of the biggest rating hits of the coronavirus, aside from these briefings, has been a show on Netflix called Tiger King.
Yeah.
And the man who's the star of this is a former zoo owner who's serving a 22-year prison sentence. He's asking you for a pardon, saying he was unfairly convicted. Your son yesterday jokingly said that he was going to advocate for it, and I was wondering if you've seen the show and if you have any thoughts on pardoning Joe Exotic.
Which son? It must be Don. I had a feeling it was Don. Is that what he said? I don't know. I know nothing about it. He has 22 years for what? What did he do?
He allegedly hired someone to murder an animal rights activist, but he said that he didn't do that, and he was.
You think he didn't do it? Are you on his side?
I'm a reporter.
Are you recommending a pardon?
No, I'm not advocating
As
anything.
a reporter, you're not allowed to do that. You'd be criticized by these. Would you recommend a pardon?
I'm not weighing in on Tiger
I
King.
don't think you would. I don't think you would. Go ahead. You have a question?
I do like Joe Exotic.
I'll take a look. Is that Joe Exotic? That's Joe Exotic.
Let me get back to the coronavirus.
The audio was a little hard to hear there, but that was Jim Acosta at the end saying he's not weighing in on the Tiger King, and then 1 second later saying he likes Joe Exotic. Oh, I bet you do, Jim. You guys would be two peas in a pod.
The Netflix true crime series Tiger King covers the unusual life of Joe Exotic, former owner of a controversial zoo in Oklahoma. In addition to Joe's legal woes, he's also known for marrying 5 men and dabbling in polygamy.
That's what happens when you give liberals an inch. They take a mile. And now this degenerate is considered to be an American hero. Subscribe to my channel for new here, and instead of just working to stop the spread of the coronavirus, we will work to stop something far more dangerous, the liberal pathogen. And to help spread the word, order yourself a Liberalism Find a Cure shirt from my online store, markdice.com, or click the link in the description below. Or you may enjoy my Obama Trump shirt, since it doesn't look like he really wants to back Biden after all. Like all of my designs, they're available in a t-shirt, long sleeve, and a hoodie, and a whole bunch of different colors as well. So head on over to markdice.com or click the link in the description below and check them out!